In this video, I'm gonna try to find a profitable YouTube idea in just 15 minutes. And if this works, it could be worth $15,000 because that's exactly how much we made with one of our clients using this exact framework. Over 12,000 views, 15 book calls, and over $15,000 in revenue generated, all from a single video idea. But here's the thing, most people still think that finding profitable YouTube ideas is just luck. So they upload video after video and they consistently flop, or they might get views, but don't actually put any calls on the calendar. But it doesn't have to be this way, and in this video, I'm gonna prove it. Because I'm gonna walk you through the entire process that I use to find YouTube ideas that not only get views, but actually convert into sales calls. This way, you can replicate it all for yourself. Now for this specific video, I'm gonna create 3 rules because that's exactly how we found the last idea. Number 1 is that we need to find a proven concept or angle directly in the industry. Number 2, we need to find a gap in the market. And then number 3, we need to validate it with outlier packaging. But before we get started on these steps, we need to do a little bit of research first, because the channel we're going to be finding an idea for is someone that I have never worked with before. And I can't find great ideas if I don't know what they do in the first place. So understanding what they sell and exactly who they're targeting is going to be the foundation for everything. Now, this is going to be the business that we're finding YouTube ideas for. So they mainly focus on website, which is going to be like UI and UX design, CRO and stuff like that. Now to actually start to find concepts and ideas that we can make topics around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this into AI and have it research pretty much the entire business. So I'm going to give the website and this prompt to Claude, and while that goes through that, I'm going to actually take this guide that we have around finding ideas that, put calls on the calendar. I'm going to copy the entire thing, and if you want access to this, just hit the link in the description. It's going to be there completely for free. And I'm going to copy this entire thing if it can go a little bit faster, and then we're going to upload that into Claude. And then we're going to have Claude start to actually build out a content architecture is what we call it for this business. All right, so Claude is done uploading and researching everything about the website. So I'm going to give it this actual prompt now with our guide and the, basic prompt here. All right, so as you can see, it's going through and pretty much creating the content buckets that we're going to need to kind of brainstorm around. And we're going to have 5 major pillars right here: website strategy and messaging, the digital strategy, okay, UI and UX design, web development, website conversion rate, performance and maintenance, okay, specific ideas. So you can see this fleshed out everything really simply, and it actually is giving us a lot of great ideas. Now we're not going to go ahead and use these, but it's going to give me a good understanding of what kind of stuff we could even post about. And like I said, if you want access to that guide, it's just in the link below. But I think that this gives us a good foundation for the research. So now we actually know what we're looking for in the first place. That brings us to step number 1, which is going to be finding a proven concept in this exact industry. And this is where a lot of people mess up because they assume they need to come up with a brand new idea completely from scratch. But then they end up with video topics or ideas that nobody wants to watch in the first place. And most of the time, it's because they created a video that they wanted to make, not what people are actually interested in. Now, the easiest way around this is to just not reinvent the wheel. Instead, you could find what's already working and then just adapt it to your business. That way, your video is based on concepts that people are actually already interested in. Now, the first thing we're going to do this is going to be hopping onto YouTube and looking for their exact industry and niche terms. So the first thing I'm going to look into is website design. Give me 7 minutes and web design skills take off. So this guy seems like he's pretty legit. We can keep him up for sure. Web design, top web design trends, design with me. Okay, so web design is not bad. The only thing I worry about here is it might be a little bit competitive for web design specifically. Something that I think could be a little bit less competitive is probably going to be the CRO stuff, website conversion optimization. So let's see what we have for website. I'm going to keep this guy's website CRO. So let's see how that works, see what we have. Okay, so there's definitely demand for a topic like this, like 90K views. Okay, you can see definitely less demand, and the reason why less competition. And the reason why I say that is because there's guys on here with like 11,000, not getting a ton of views right here, 785 views, and that's coming up as the 3rd thing on there. So it tells me the competition is not as hard to compete against. So I think something like this might be a better topic to cover in this example. I've seen this guy around relative to B2B stuff, so I think that could be relevant. Once again, 2.4 thousand views. Yeah. Now the main thing I'm looking for here is like some sort of angle or concept that just works in this industry. So I'm trying to find like, somebody posts about CRO and maybe, landing page angle works all the time. Like for this specifically, you can see that he only talks about landing pages, and that channel is looking solid. Let's see what somebody like this is doing. Web design skills, web design tips. web design. So the only thing I don't love about the web design is I think it'll just attract like freelance based people. So I'm going to keep basing off of CRO and see if we could just find some trends here. How to increase your conversion rate on Shopify. I think that's probably more of a Shopify angle than it is e-commerce. I don't hate it. How to 4x your Shopify, how to increase conversions with design. So let's see what someone like this has. Okay, Shopify, I'm not really interested in. Okay, let's look at something like this. Like I said, just trying to find some sort of similarity between Build a Perfect. Okay, let's go through this. Learn web design for beginners, Figma tutorial for beginners, top 5 websites. So web design, free web design. That seems to be what is working best here. Basic web design, perfect landing page explained, landing page design. That's an interesting combination of the two. Perfect landing page design. So I think what we're gonna run with here is we're gonna do a combination of two things. We're gonna, obviously the web design stuff works the best. Like that's what I'm seeing across all of this like research, is that based on competitors, what they're doing, it's gonna be kind of the widest TAM that you can go. It seems like web design or designing some sort of website, which does make sense because like freelancers are gonna be attracted to something like that. But I'm gonna try to find a way to potentially like integrate that with like landing page CRO so we can actually, you know, create more educational based like B2B content. But for the actual concept or angle, we're definitely gonna go the design route. Now, if you wanna book sales calls directly from your YouTube channel without coming up with ideas yourself, you can book a call using the first link below. We've helped clients like Aaron book 15 calls in just 30 days on a channel with under 600 subscribers using strategies just like these, and we'll see if we can help you do the same. So if that's something that you're interested in, just book a call below. But either way, finding the angle or concept that's gonna work best for this industry is really just the first step. See, just because one video concept works doesn't mean that you should just go ahead and copy it. Because if people are already doing the same exact thing as you, it's never gonna stand out. So what you need to do is find what we call the gap. It's the one thing that people watching these competitor videos want, but they're not actually finding. For example, in Aaron's case, there were a bunch of cold email videos titled like how I sent 100,000 cold emails in 30 days, or I sent 10,000 cold emails a day for 30 days, and they're all just basic how-to tutorials. So what we did is we turned it into a live challenge because nobody was really doing that. So we documented the entire process and we actually showed the results all in one video, which is 10 times harder to execute than some normal how-to tutorial, but that's exactly how it worked. So what we're gonna do is try to find a gap just like that. It could be based on length, the depth of the video, like how in depth they're going with their topics. For example, if it's a beginner's course, but it's only 15 minutes, it's not only gonna be short, but the actual information there is gonna be service level. And the last one is really gonna be like an execution gap. Like I just mentioned with Aaron, people might just be executing the video the same way a bunch of times, so we might be able to put a twist on that. I'm gonna base everything off these current channels that we have here. So like learn web design for beginners, I don't think we're gonna outbeat something like that. Like a 3-hour course, that's not gonna be something that there's really much of a gap there, and I assume it's a very saturated thing. So Figma tutorial for beginners, self-made web design, give me 7 minutes. Okay, the only 5 web design skills, 50 web design, complete web design process. So I think he does a good job. 4 proven steps, okay. Watch me build a $1 million landing page in 20 minutes. How to create a high converting landing page in 2025. I think that we could do something similar to this. Let me see what this video covers. So this is like a challenge based video, which I really like. And I think that this is already capitalizing on the gap because you could see guys like this, they're not doing any of these like live challenges. So this is kind of like that execution gap that I was talking about. They're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Like these guys, I mean, these are basically the same videos. Ironically, they like look very similar in the way that they present them as well. They're just talking head, you know, videos where they kind of show you some tutorials, but none of them are really doing anything live. So I think in this scenario, that's going to be a really good angle to double down on, and there's already a proven concept. Now, when it comes to this video specifically, and I think the gap that we could even beat here is showing the entire process. So we could see that there's demand in this specific industry for long videos, like 3 hours. And I notice relative on YouTube right now, longer videos are working. Do I think we need to create something 3 hours? No, but I think if we could do 1 hour, like a 60-minute process, like he says that he does this in 4 hours, but it's only a 20-minute video. So I think the thing that's missing here is like actually knowing that it took 4 hours, because how do you know the editor didn't just, you know, chop this up or something along those lines? If we could show like a 1 hour full process, I think that's gonna beat the gap on something like this, and it's gonna beat the gap on videos like these because they're just not doing that like challenge frame or like, you know, I tried doing XYZ frame. So that's what we're going with when it comes to finding a gap in this industry. But that brings us to step 3, and that's gonna be how we're packaging and planning out a video like this. Now, by the packaging, I mean the title and thumbnail. And these are gonna be the most important part of any video because in reality, that's all someone's gonna see when they're on the browse feed. And once again, we're gonna find some stuff that's already working, kind of form it into what we think is gonna perform best, and then adapt it to an actual video topic. Now, I think in this scenario, we have a lot of data to run with, but I don't think we need to like stay in this frame or in this, you know, industry is what I mean here. Like, I don't want to get caught up in like trying to like rework their exact videos. We just know what we want to do and the concept that we want to take. And now we want to kind of find somewhere else to apply it. I know a lot of people off the top of my head. So let me think of somebody like Andy Starring, I think is a good example. So we could do like, I really like this video for like a challenge frame. Like I tried drop shipping for a week. And then what he does is he goes through and documents the entire process for a week. So something like this, which I think also like doubles down on the gap where it's kind of like almost like a behind the scenes gap. Like the older video was 4 hours long, but you don't actually know that it's 4 hours long. So maybe we could do something like this where it's, you know, I tried designing a website that would generate leads in, you know, an hour. And then what we could do is we would actually have him build out the website or maybe like redesign it a pre-existing website so it actually can like, you know, increase conversions. And then he can document the process on like the back end. So I actually think that's a great idea. I'm just gonna need to go on to like ChatGPT and run through this, or Claude in this scenario. So I just gave this entire prompt to Claude. I pretty much just gave it the title, told it the angle that I want to take and what I want it to help me do. So I'm gonna have it come up with more titles first, and then we're gonna have it help us brainstorm on the actual execution of a video like this. So I tried web design for a week. I don't love that because I think it'll only attract beginners. I tried website conversion rate. I tried redesigning websites. Could we do something along the lines of I tried fixing a broken landing page in 60 minutes, or I tried to design a high converting landing page in 60 minutes. I think something like that could be good. I tried to design a high converting landing page in 60 minutes. Now, the one thing that I am remembering, what is his name? Arsh. So I think that, what is this? Watch me build a $1 million landing page. Okay. I think the frame that they're missing here as well is like, obviously besides the gap, you know, I mean, this video absolutely crushed. So they clearly didn't miss much. But I mean, if we could get 114,000 views, I'd be more than ecstatic. So whoever did this, props to them. This is a great video. I'm just trying to find ways of not doing the same exact thing. I tried to design a high converting. I think like the design aspect might be more appealing, but we could do like, I tried to design a, now with a frame like this, we would have to kind of validate that claim. So it would have to be something like either we've created $1 million landing pages already, or if we're redesigning something, say the landing page is hooked up to some like traffic source like Meta Ads, and it's like bringing in, say, helping the business make $1 million per year. I think that could be valid, where it's like, you know, they get $1 million per year of conversions and something like that. But I think this could be a strong angle. I'm just going to have Claude map out some ways to execute this. And as it goes through that, I'm just going to go through and kind of walk through how I would redesign the packaging. So I would probably do something like this, where it's like, I tried drop shipping for a week, and I think we could just do the Stripe notification thing here. Cause I think relative to the companies that he targets based on, you know, what the website said and what Claude gave us originally, I think most of them would be okay and familiar with Stripe. And I just think in general, like the web design niche, we can look through it right now. But I think we could do that pretty simply. So we could do like day 5 once again, and maybe not day 5, actually. We probably would do hour 1, or, you know, something along the lines of like minute 60 or something, or maybe we do $1 million designs. We'd have a few split tests when it comes to text. But the reason why this works well is because you know that he's like actively doing it, because he's in front of the computer. So it shows that like, oh, I'm like actually going to show you guys how I do this live. Day 5, it shows that he's in the middle of, you know, the whole week while he's documenting the process. And then the actual screen is going to be like the dream result or the dream outcome that you get. So I think we could show something like this where it's very similar with a Stripe. We would just change the text, have them, you know, positioned like this as well. But I do want to see if they have anything relative to like, you know, high converting web design. And I want to see if we get any confirmation on a Stripe landing page. Okay, so this gives me a little bit of confirmation. So they go the Stripe route as well. I think that probably would be the best bet. I don't see what else they would really do because they don't really only target Figma. Oh, this kind of hits us up with the $1 million page as well. We could do $1 million design, 7 proven steps, about $1 million landing page. Does he do any Stripe stuff? I would want to also probably split test this kind of like wireframe that they're doing as well. I think that it's just creative, and I think that it resonates, obviously. So like this scenario is like kind of like a wireframe, we'll call that. So we could show that. Who was the other guy? It was Arsh. So we probably would do a split test with that as well. So we would show like on one scenario, we'd have the Stripe frame on there. We'd have the Stripe screenshot as like the dream outcome. And then in the other scenario, we would just do like the $1 million page and kind of have like wireframe with like, you know, circling which parts of the page are like most important and showing that. Cause I think that is a good angle, but that's kind of how we'd approach the packaging from an overall standpoint. And then relative to how this is going in, like I said, we kind of would execute on the acts in different stages where like we build it out, then we kind of document it. I think in this scenario it would make the most sense to redesign something that's already getting a lot of traffic. So you can see an actual increase in conversion rates, you know, throughout the week, kind of document maybe if you have to switch a few things, like A/B test some stuff. I think that could be a really great video, and it would kind of double down and hit all the rules we look out for. Now to recap everything we went over, so you know that we went over the main 3 rules. So the first thing was finding a frame or angle or some sort of concept in the industry that stood out beyond everything else. And in this case, that was going to be web design. It seemed like the design stuff is the widest angle or the widest TAM, which is like the total addressable market. And then the second thing we had to figure out was where the actual gap in the industry was. So it seemed like web design stuff was all kind of executing the same thing over and over again, just tutorial talking head stuff. Nobody's really going like that full challenge length, except for that one person, which is going to be, you know, this guy right here, which they do an absolute great job, whoever's doing this channel. And then the one thing I would look to improve upon this, because like I said, we're not trying to just copy and paste other people's topics, is making it a little bit more behind the scenes, showing it more like raw, like actually, if we were to do something 4 hours, like try to show maybe the entire 4-hour process. In this case, it probably would be 60 minutes. And we would show that entire process, and then I think even document the actual results we're getting from it. In this case, it would probably be redesigning something so we could show that it's actually like increasing conversions. And then that brings us to the last rule, which is just going to be finding outlier packaging. And in this scenario, we use these videos from Andy Starring. We'd have a couple different split tests on the text and the actual things on screen. But overall, I think the execution of the idea would be something that actually works. But the thing is, choosing an idea is literally just the first step of making a video. Now the next step from here is bringing this to life and turning it into a script. So if you want to see the exact framework that we stole from Alex Hormozi to get Aaron 12,000 views on a single video, you can watch this video, and I'll see you there.